Welcome back to Crossing the Axis, the biz side of video production. I am your host, Max Kaiser. I'm also the CEO of Pipeline Production Management Software for video professionals. And I am excited as hell today to have a special guest on my show, Caleb Young. Welcome, Caleb.
Yeah, thanks for asking me to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Caleb and I go pretty far back. Basically, this is a sort of quick short story. I hired Caleb at my old company, Hand Crank Films, and Caleb worked for Hand Crank for a number of years, doing some incredible work. Then Caleb went out on his own, and then Caleb joined up, I think, with an agency. And forgive me if I get some of this wrong. But then that agency that he joined up with, Caleb wound up masterminding that agency buying my company from me. And now Caleb basically runs my old company within that agency. Caleb, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty close. I would say Micah runs everything because he's the business mind. But and when I was on my own, we started working together through an agency he was at, and that's how we met. And so he started hiring me, and then acquired my company, and then worked for that agency and did had a production company part of that agency. And then I heard that you were gonna close your doors or take a hiatus, and had a great breakfast with you, and just kind of flowed the idea like, hey, what do you think about, like, we love your brand. You've built this incredible brand with incredible work. Let's not put it to bed. Let's keep it going. And through a couple of meetings it happened, and then COVID hit, and because of the work we had and the name we had, we were able to get work and actually excelled and did really well through COVID. And I think a part of that is the work we did. It also helped that we have a design and animation team on the agency side, and then the brand of Hand Crank just got people calling up, and so we did well.
Yeah, it's been awesome to see, how you folks have carried on the sort of tradition of sort of emotional storytelling and just expanded upon it. You've built a beautiful website around it, which, to all you listeners, go take a look at the Hand Crank Films website if you want to see what a very cool video production website that sells looks like, because of course our websites are absolutely critical in our sales toolkit, and it's often the first place that people see our work. But they do a really nice job of showcasing the work itself within a really beautiful website. So it just sort of looks like everything's been given a lot of care. So it's pretty awesome. So tell me about how. Let's just start with, how's Hand Crank doing? What kind of revenue and stuff's it doing these days?
We have an agency and a production company together as one kind of creative firm, and so we've been averaging since we purchased Hand Crank, we're average it's multi-million dollars over the years consistently. And so there's ebb and flow with any production, but multi-million is kind of where we're at, and comfortably at, and been lucky enough to be very profitable. And we're able to put away money for the future. We're able to put away money towards creative, and we're able to invest in other projects that we really like. Yeah. And that's been super rewarding. So it's not just our stuff too. We're also supporting other people, which is really fun, and people we care about, but people also with cool ideas who we met because they checked out our website and had this project they were pitching. So it's been pretty wonderful to be able to do that.
And who are some of the clients right now that you're working with that you're pretty excited about?
Well, we have, the tech, the names the companies that don't need to be named, but those tech companies that are kind of our bread and butter, and we love the work. We're just hungry. We have an appetite for video. So whatever it is, we're just excited to keep busy and do the best we can with that stuff. So we have those clients. And then we have local nonprofits that we work with quite a bit. We just recently started working with Fremont Brewing, which has been really great. And then we, working with companies out of Finland, and then
is that the Neural DSP?
That's Neural DSP. Yeah, they saw our music, our music section on our website, and reached out. And
from Finland.
We've now
I love
from
that
Finland.
I love that shit about the website, man. That's That's so cool. I'll never forget when Google found us on Google. I think
Yeah.
I really love that. We did
Yeah.
those Google projects some years ago.
I think it's hard because it costs a lot to make a website. We luckily had an internal person do it, but like it has gotten us work. Like there is an ROI to the time we put into it and the design and kind of the thought we put into it. And so a lot of this work, Fremont Neural, even some of these bigger tech companies, some of the nonprofits, it comes from people being able to go to our site, see our work. And so when you talk to them the first time, like, what'd you like? And they're like, we like these 3 videos. And so you're able to say like, yeah, we can do that for you. So it's not like, hey, what can you do? You skip that question in that first meeting. They already know what you can do because they saw on the site. And that's why they chose you. So it makes that transition a lot easier.
Yeah. And again, that's handcrankfilms.com for you to check out what that site looks like. Because again, it's a really good example of, I think you guys kind of did like a Netflix style kind of feeling is what I remember. Like, is it kind of just, it felt very like movie-esque, and that was pretty cool. And sort of like viewer-esque as opposed to like informational. It was put the video content really first and foremost.
Yeah, we wanted people to be able to watch the videos and kind of get into it and feel like they're just like you're scrolling through Netflix. They want to be able to like, hey, I want to watch this video. And then you have a suggestion afterwards. I want to watch this video. And we got away from like the reel. I think the reel is a really beautiful thing. It kind of put all your stuff together, but it's very visual and it shows editing and cinematography a lot of the time and sometimes graphics. We kind of want to show the whole piece. And so we built the site around showing the work.
I wonder about reels. I'm not too sure about reels. I think if a reel shows off the personality of the company in some way, I think that's really cool. But if a reel's just showing the work, aren't you better off actually just giving them the individual pieces of work so they can judge like, okay, well, because you look at a reel, it's like, I can't tell what those are part of or like what the ultimate like product that those were selling was. I just can tell that you can make some pretty pictures and edit it together in a cool fashion.
And it always takes up so much time. It's always hard to do internal projects. Yeah. And then you're like, here it is. And sometimes you rush it out because you're like, geez, I've been trying to get this done for a couple months. Let's just put it out. I think the most effective reels for me are DP reels, because then you see their style.
Of course.
Like you look at like Kozer's reel and you're like, oh, okay, I know what he can do.
ChrisKozer.com probably. But just Google Chris Kozer. He's how I met Caleb. Chris was working for me at Hand Crank, and he said, "Hey, there's this guy." And you were a teacher at the time, right?
I was a teacher. Yeah.
You're a teacher. What grade were you teaching?
I was teaching freshmen and juniors
in English.
And trying to force film into those classes too. So we watched a lot of film too.
Miss teaching those little suckers?
I miss the relationships with the kids and talking about like novels and like arguing and discussion, but no, I don't miss.
But
I don't miss teaching.
Your own. I mean, you have your own kid too, so you can talk about that stuff with them, and they're a teenager now. So
exactly. Right? So, she actually goes to the school that I taught at, which is really funny.
It's going to be hard for her to like, kind of hide what she's doing. You kind of know the deal.
I do. I know it all.
No, I remember when you made the leap. I remember when we were like, hey, why don't you come work for us? And we were all in-house at the time. God bless that period. And then we were just like, hey, do you want to come work in-house with us? And I remember it was a hard decision because you had a wife, you had Lacey, you had, and then did you have the kid yet? I can't remember.
Callie was like 3, I think, at the time.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a lot, right? And that's in our business, right? I think there's like when you're hobbying around in the beginning and it's fun and cool, and it's cooler than pretty much anything to be making videos. But then you start like living your actual life, and you actually start like having commitments like marriage and family and homes and kids and things that like make a life like kind of stressful, but awesome too. But you have more, let's say, than just like your fucking bike and like, your camera to be a responsibility. And it makes these decisions a little bit harder,
Yeah. And as you get older, you have less time to play. So getting a job and doing it doing film as a job is more challenging. And when
Yeah.
you're younger, you can kind of build. And I think that's like, I think you were interested in my work because you saw Nate and Natalie that played at the festival you did.
Yeah.
And I shot it. And that's what got my name kind of in your ears, how you kind of knew who I was. And I think that's what, to me, Kozer vouched for me because we worked together, and he got me the interview. But I remember you knowing my work enough to know like, oh, he can make it. And that's one thing I always tell people is like, how to become a director, how to become a filmmaker. You just got to go do it, because then at some point, someone who is hiring will see your work and say, hey, I want to work with you. And that's,
you were really worried about selling out, basically selling out.
Oh man, that's like the worst. It's like the young
kind of esoteric films, right?
Oh, for sure. And
shooting them on film. They were shot on like 16,
on film,
and
like,
they were like short ends and stuff that you cobbled together. But even doing video was sort of like poo-pooed.
And then like working for corporate clients and selling out. That's so dumb though, because like selling out to me is just, it's a young person's idea of art. Like the ability to make money making films, you can build your craft around a commercial for like, even like someone like as dialed in as Microsoft, but you have to light it well, you have to shoot it well, you have to know what you're doing. And then when you have time off or you have saved up some money, then you go make your film and you have all these technical things that you technically, some like 21-year-old might say you sold out, but now you can go make a film that looks polished, looks really nice. You kind of know what you're doing. And even if you're like, I'm going to go handheld, I'm going to shoot all natural light, you still have all those technical skills that you got from working for a client who paid you to make movies. And I think that's the thing, that selling out is not a thing, especially when you start to have a family. You kind of have to make choices that allow you to pay the bills, or work at Home Depot and then make films on the side. And that's fine too. Or be a teacher and make films during the summer, which I know people who do that. And that's awesome. If you want to work full-time and pay a mortgage and get your kid to go to school and go on vacations and put food on the table and all that stuff, you kind of have to make a choice of like,
and why be, just a teacher when you get to be part of the incredible community that is the production services community, which, let's face it, is like the most awesome group of people in the world, right? Like it's just such a great, it's just a great community. It is in our area, but I have a sense it is in every area. I don't know, maybe not LA, who knows? But like it just is like the most fun group of people, and sort of intelligent MacGyver-ish type group of people that you're going to run into. So if you get the opportunity to sort of travel with that crowd, it's pretty good.
Yeah, and you meet so many challenging people that as you grow together, you find what you are good at together. And someone kind of fills in the producer role, someone fills in the DP role, someone fills in the sound role. You meet those people, and I love that collaborative nature of film. And then there's these relationships that you have over years of working together, and it makes the work better, and it makes the shooting fun. And I don't know, I'm glad that I made the jump to start working in production, as corporate stuff, because it's allowed me. I mean, I'm here because of that. And I'd probably still be making films, but they would be small little indie films that I'd make on the side. And now I get
good.
Oh, I was just gonna say, now I get to make creative stuff like on the job. Like we get to do creative projects, and so I get to still make those movies, but I'm also making a living. And we have people working for us. So there's a bunch of people making a living doing creative work for people who are paying you, which is just, clients are the best, man. They're paying you to do your craft.
And you were always a good advocate for yourself financially. You know what I mean? I mean, you would always be like, I got to be making this. What's it going to take for me to be making
that? Was Lacey. Yeah. That was Lacey. She's my agent. Yeah, she's my agent.
That's sometimes the way it works though, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it is our loved ones that are like, hey, guess what? This is great that you're doing what you really love. But now it's also worth something to people. I needed the guy that was that for me, of course, is Chris Donaldson, right? Like,
oh yeah, totally.
Because we were busy giving away our video, and he would be like, dude, you can't do that. You know what I mean? And so like, but that was good that you had your wife on your personal level to, to sort of help help you do that and work towards those things. And I think it's probably served you really, really well to have that and have someone looking after, like, you know, the bottom line and so forth. But you were always like this most like super duper passionate person. And I think that was, I just remember in the beginning, that was the struggle, is like, how do you channel your passion into sort of what you're making for the client, which, by the way, you nearly always do really successfully. And I can see it. You sent me some of Hand Crank's recent work, some just beautiful, like the neural DSP piece. Go on the website, look at the neural DSP piece for this new like sort of foot box thing that they have for different looping. It's called Looper. It's the Looper effect thing. And it's just an awesome. Where was that location, by the way? That's I want to live in that house for like ever. What is that? What is that house that it was shot?
It was a house we found. My producer Alyssa found it on Pearspace in Laurel Canyon. So the artist is from London. He's touring in America right now, and something happened. He wasn't able to shoot this thing in London, and so they hired us to fly down to LA and shoot it. And we just found a great location. That's kind of what we do with Neural. We find the best location we can that kind of fits the music or fits the person and the brand, and then we just spend a day shooting. And with a great location and in music, it's like it's a home run every time, right? You just got to make it look good and it's fun.
Isn't that funny? It's just the part. If you have the parts, if you just have the parts, then you're pretty much set. So you have a great location, you have a great musician, and obviously the box is super cool, the looper thing that you're doing. And that's kind of what I loved about that video, is it was just super basic, but it's gotten tons and tons of downloads. And if you look in the comments, it's just one person selling the other person on it, like without any salesperson ever being involved. They're all like, I just needed to see that video to know why I needed to buy the looper thingy. And, I love that guitarist so much. And there's just like sort of respect all around. And it seems like it's a really positive thing between you, the client, the product, the star of the ad, just everything. And I just thought it's a really excellent piece. You should check it out. And then you jump over and, and I don't know, is the piece about Brian's brain, is that like out yet? Or were you just sending me that before it's come out?
No. Matt's brain we did last year. And we did it for UW Medicine, the Brain Lab. And it was for their fundraising night. We're trying to raise money for the Brain Lab.
Well, they must have raised like $1 zillion. What did they raise?
I can't remember. UW Medicine said it was for kind of the type they do. It was one of their biggest successes.
I'm sure. So, I mean, the video was just like, oh my God, it was just so hard as the dad, and myself, and the whole story, the whole aspect of it. But it was excellently executed. I think the way that you let the story tell itself, it could have so easily been, when you get these really emotional, stories, it's easy to push it and make it maudlin, and you just played it really far back, and it was really excellently done. And then you have those, and then you have that nice piece for Prism, which shows off sort of the visual acuity of that's really unique and really high end visuals. And of course the Prism job has always been fantastic for that, for you, is like and this is the Prism Awards. It's like an award ceremony every year. And Caleb has made the sort of award videos for those for years. And it's really cool opportunity that this company gives you a decent budget to go out and shoot these sort of, I don't know, they're like these visual journeys that you sort of go on.
Yeah, it started abstract years ago. And then now we've been they're still abstract. Yeah. But we're pushing more towards having people in them. Last year we did for fun, because we couldn't be in person. We did like a Spielberg riff off. So we had we called it Jurassic Jones, and we had this person dressed up as Indiana Jones and this dinosaur suit chasing him around. It was kind of silly, but we got to shoot like Spielberg and Dave Richards, our sound guy, he created like this score that was kind of like a John Williams vibe, and it was a blast. And so this year I was like, let's do serious, but let's lean more towards sci-fi, and we were able to do that. So but that's the thing. I think out of all things you're saying, you're talking, the thing that's true in all those things is the client seeing the work and saying, what do you want to do with this? And
okay, but that's kind of it. But it's also those are all your passions. I mean, those are three different sides of the coin for like what you get into, right? It's the side of the coin which is sort of music and stuff like that, which you're deadly into, and then you have this side of the coin that's just like the super emotional sort of storytelling, and sort of drag people to their feet, and then you have the sort of visual like panache that's just exciting to do. So my question is, how have you found the path to channeling those passions of yours that you showed up at the door of Hand Crank? What was it, 12 years ago, 13 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that you showed up, with those passions and successfully channeled them into what your clients need for their videos, and also then felt in return satisfied with what the hell you're doing with your life.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it starts with listening, because I have a style for sure, and it's overly emotional a lot of the times. But I listen and see what they're trying to say, and then from there, it's just I invest. I care. Like I care a lot about the story, and I think about it as I'm making a film. It's a short film. It's something that I want, and I think about character more than anything. Like who are the characters, and what are they trying to say? And that could be for a nonprofit, which act with actual people that you're interviewing and talking through. It could be for like Matt's Brain, where it's just these like grieving parents talking about their son who's not with them anymore and how his brain is being studied to understand TBI. But it's about like investing, and it's exhausting a lot of times, because you have to make good work, you have to really care, and you have to put that forward. And you have the client who you have to satisfy. You have, like, personally, I have to satisfy myself creatively, but it's really finding that emotional thread that can kind of go through both, that can get me, like, I'm getting my style and then I'm getting what they need. And I think it comes down to, really almost meditating on the idea, and then saying, hey, here's where I'm coming from, and going to, whether it's a script or it's a pitch or whatever, just saying, okay, tell them this is what you want. You want it to feel emotional. You want to get people to give money. You want to tell this story about these parents and their struggle. Okay, here's my suggested direction. And then from there, it's like a conversation about how we get there. And then once we land on that, then it's time to get to work. And you think about how do you see it? And I used to be adverse to close-ups, but as over the years, I realized, like, man, seeing someone's eyes.
Wes Anderson, like,
oh man, I know. I don't know. It was weird. I don't know why. Close-ups are amazing when you don't overuse them, but being able to see it. And a lot of times, I used to overplan. When I started working at Hand Crank, I actually stopped storyboarding and shot listing as much, because I felt like in the moment you find the best thing to shoot in the moment. You show up, you work through blocking, you figure it out, and then you're like, oh man, if I just sit here and see this moment here, I'm just going to shoot this empty bench here, which is like a weird, and it's in Matt's Brain, there's like this empty bench, and like it's metaphorical, it's weird, like people, why are you shooting the bench? And then you see it in the movie and you're like, oh, it shows the emptiness of the scene or whatever. And so really a lot of it is just trying to find the moments on set, and then preparing as much as you can and making sure you're hitting the things the client's asking, but also pushing towards what you feel. It's hard to put it tangibly, because a lot of it is instinctual. It's taste and it's instincts, and it's trusting yourself. And if the client trusts you, you usually get to a good point. And if they know your work, they know what they're asking you to do. It's not like someone's going to come to me like, hey, can you make something like uber stylized like Wes Anderson? They wouldn't, because I don't do that, and I wouldn't do it well. They're like, hey, can you make something emotional that feels like you're in the moment? That's what I'm really good at.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell a funny story, like, where, I mean, people, like, what I want to tell people out there is, like, this technique, it actually also really does work as part of the sales process too. And I can tell you firsthand, because I actually competed against Caleb's company after you left. I don't even know if you know this story. I don't think you do. But you went off, started your own thing, and shortly thereafter, I got a call from someone that makes batting cages, right? Batting cages. And I went out,
went
out to where the hell he was. And he said, well, I just met with this kid and he's talking about you. And, you know, he told me he was going to make me these really fantastic videos, but they're going to be really, really expensive. But he was really into like, you know, he was really into what he was going to make for us. And he got really like, you know, like, just really like emotionally invested in what we were going to do and all that. And what are you going to do? And at the time I was really on this tip of trying to, you know, to just like, I was more concerned with like, well, you know, can I just, I'll just keep your budget real low. How's that? And I'll keep your budget real low. And there's a batting cage video, man. I mean, what the hell are we going to do here? So I'll just kind of, you know, we'll make like 10 videos out of a template, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and it's going to be like a lot cheaper than what Caleb told you he was going to do it for. And it's going to be fine. You're going to have some great batting cage videos for your website. There you go. And you know, at the time and for the product I was offering, I thought that was the right thing. But he ultimately did wind up going with you. And so in retrospect, you know, I've looked back over the different choices I made as I tried out different hats and tried different ways of selling. And I'll say that like, not only is your way more fun, and your way is a way that, of course, I did for a long time. And then I kind of was trying some other ways. But it's not only more fun, but actually, honestly, you sell more, and you actually wind up doing better, getting bigger budgets, because I'm sure you got a way better budget for those than I ever would have, and it just winds up being people really do care that you care, and they relate with what you relate to, and if they don't, you know, maybe fuck them. I don't know. I mean, maybe, and that was going to be my question: is like, how do you sort of not everyone's going to respond to this. You know what I mean? Not everyone is going to be like, you know, what about the client that you just want so badly? You can see the potential, you pitch them and like, dude, it's going to be so great. We're going to do all this. And they're just like, no, we just want to make this like talking head and like a little graphic. What are you going to do? Are you going to do it? Are you not going to do it? What's the plan?
We do it. I mean, that's the thing. But expectations, like, they're like, so a lot of times Micah's really good at this. He taught me, you should just ask what the budget is. Micah's my boss, and he's the managing partner of Variant and Hand Crank, the kind of creative, this creative team. Right. And he just started asking. It's so uncomfortable. Like no one ever asks, so what's your budget? It's always like, what's your budget? What's your budget? What's your budget? It's a back and forth. We just ask, what's your ballpark? What's going to get a yes? And if the yes is 5,000 for us to do like 10 videos of someone talking to the camera, then maybe that's a one-man crew. But what that does is that gets people work. So people will work, but we set the expectations like, it's going to look good because we have good cameras, you have good lighting, but it's going to be this thing. We're not going to go and make like a Mackie style video, like with all this production value for $5,000. Yeah. Now, there has been some things we look at and you're like, creatively, that's cool. And we want to do it. And we're not going to try to make money on it. We're just going to make something as best as we can with what we got. And I think that's great. But there's also just the realization of like, and I think this is a thing that a lot of people, I think, need to hear. $5,000 seems like not a lot to contractors and other people. $5,000 is a hell of a lot of money to that client. They are not skimming. They're not being cheap. They have $5,000. That is their budget. And so it is a lot to them. So we should treat it that way. And I think a lot of times it's like, oh, $5,000, I'm not going to do it for that. Okay, cool. Don't do it. That's fine. But if you say yes, don't bitch about it. Don't complain about the fact that it's cheap. Just say, hey, for $5,000, I'm going to have a sound guy and I'm going to have a director DP, and we're going to do a half-day shoot. We're going to get all these things. We're going to do a teleprompter. It's going to go smoothly. And then we're going to chop up into 10 videos and call it good. We're not trying to make an award-winning film. We're just trying to make good content for them. And I think a lot of times you hear, oh, the budget's so low, the budget. We don't talk about budget with our teams anymore, especially with our contractors or our team. It's just the budget for the production doesn't matter for you. Let's just make the best work possible. Right. It creates this weird feeling of like, I'm not going to give it my all because it's a low budget. And that's BS. It's like, it's a lot of money to, like, if a client comes to you with $2,000, maybe that's a project you say no to. But that's a lot to them, especially a nonprofit. If a client comes to you with $50,000, it's not a lot of money to that. I mean, it's their budget. So it's like, treat it like it's everything and respect that. And then do your best work within that. So we say no for sure, we say no to stuff. We recently said no to a really big job because we didn't want to take away from the projects we're on. We've said no to smaller jobs and passed it on to, someone comes in and is like, hey, do you do AV stuff? No, we're going to send it off to some of our friends locally. So we've passed on stuff for sure, but we've also said yes to some things that I think you would look at the number and be like, that's cheap. And it's like, no, that was cool. And the client loved it because we gave it our all within the box that we were provided with the budget. So,
and
I don't know.
As long as on those, you made your margin, and I know you do, because you use Pipeline's budgeting tool so much, and I love it. And that thing is all built towards protecting your freaking margin. And so even on the $5,000 job, as long as you make your margin, right, like then you can do like a bunch of them and you're okay. It's just, you gotta protect that margin. I want to talk about deal making for 1 second, because you brought up something really interesting, and I think that deal making needs its entire own podcast. But the idea of like who sort of, the game of chicken that gets played of saying, well, you tell me your budget, you tell me what it's going to cost, you tell me your budget, tell me what's going to cost. I heard a great statement that sounds like where you and Mike are going right now, that someone once told me was like, look, and this is what you can say to the client when the game of chicken starts getting going, is like, look, we can do this, and we can go and run out our numbers, and I know you don't want to give me your number because you think, oh, it might be higher. It might be higher than what they're thinking that this thing would cost, right? And so I don't want to like kind of screw myself, and maybe they're going to give me a number that's lower. Let's realize that that's probably not what's going to happen. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to run the numbers up. It's going to be higher than what you want, and we're going to spend the rest of the time taking things out of the budget that I built. And removing things from this great idea. I'm going to be getting less excited about it. You're going to be getting less excited about it as we get down to whatever the number was that you originally had for money. And as you said, a lot of times the client just has that 5,000, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can just give me that 5,000, or if you can just tell me you've got 5,000, I want to get the job. I want to do these incredible things for you. I'm going to do everything I can to figure out how to get my team to do what you ultimately need to get done under that budget. And that is going to wind up being a way more advantageous place for you, the client, to be operating from, because you're going to get all this great stuff that I'm going to try to figure out how to get in there to hit your number. And again, 9 times out of 10, the number is, it's probably going to be lower than if not too many times do you come to me with a higher number, but you might. But even then, I'm really going to go and put all this stuff in there to make you happy and get this done right. But everything is then just like, well, then, hey, what if I had a 7,000? Oh, then I can add this. What if I had a 10,000? It's all going to go forward and up rather than backwards and down. And that's why the idea of getting the client's number from them, if you can, is so much in both parties' favor, as opposed to just tell me roughly what you think this kind of thing would cost.
And it's hard because it's like, what thing? Like, what do you like? Mm-hmm. Which video? Now, that's what's nice about having the website. We have people like, we like this, this, and this. And so you have kind of a window, and you can say, oh, it's kind of in this area. But I would say, do you want the job? If you want the job, then you got to be flexible. And I think when, let's say a number comes out and the client's like, I have 15, and you're like, well, I can only do it for 18. That 3,000 is more damaging than I think people realize, because all they can think about is their $3,000 of a budget. That's a lot for them. Whereas for 50, what's the harm in doing their budget at 15 and crushing it? The more you push up budget as it goes on, or even in the beginning, like, oh, it's going to cost this. I mean, there's obviously reasons why it should cost more: talent, locations, travel, things like that. But when it comes to a budget, if you sometimes every once in a while when clients like, what do you, and we're like, yeah, it's probably going to cost around like 25. Like, we can do 23. And like, why? Some people I know would be like, no, it's 25. That's what it is. And I was like, what value is that $2,000 if you don't get the job? Yeah. Right. Yeah. And are you going to be able to do this cool job with this cool client? No, because like you're being like, it's arbitrary. It's arbitrary. Yeah. And you can save money in other ways. You can also if you're profitable in other jobs and you're really good at keeping your margins safe, you can take a little bit of a hit on that. So I don't know. We always ask ourselves, do we want the job? And if we do, what's your number?
Right.
And if they're like, well, what does it cost? We're like, well, it can cost anywhere from like $8,000 for like one person to come for a day and do this to like $60,000 for us to shoot 2 days doing this, this, and this. There's a wide range. So what are you looking for? Oh, we're looking for something more like this piece you did. Okay, that's in this window. So it's kind of a give and take, but I don't know. I think budgeting's weird. I think sometimes we forget that we're not the most important thing to this client. They have so many other things going on. This is a small part of their job is getting this video made, and they have a budget in mind that they have been given by their bosses. Right. And it's not really movable in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so respect it. And if you want the job, make it work.
Don't be afraid to try to get it from them. And that's what I like that you guys are doing, that you're making that a priority, of saying, let's just get your number and let us do the work of working around it. Let us figure it out. You know what I mean? And I think that that's really smart. And I think that it's really good for the client. It's really good for you. So I think that's awesome. Well, Caleb, this has been fantastic. And I encourage everyone to go look at your site if you want to see what kind of work this kind of thinking generates, which is fabulous, insightful, emotional work. I couldn't be more proud of my my baby, the company that I started and worked with for 15 years, being carried on by people that are just bringing so much more great work under the hood of it, and emotional and just all that. You folks have just taken it to the next level. So thank you so much for doing that. It's really cool to see. Thank you for continuing to be pipeline customers and using our software to help make that come true. I don't know, that's again, just really appreciate you being on the show and coming out to kind of share your experience with folks.
Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you. Like, I don't know how many people tell you this, but you started a lot of careers, and a lot of really good production companies who are doing great work started under your roof at Handcrank. And you let us crazy creatives kind of do our thing and learn. And there were ups and downs for sure. You and I butted heads a lot, but I think, and Donaldson's a part of it too, but you and Donaldson created this space that allowed us to become as good as we thought we were when we weren't at first. You trusted us, and look at it. I mean, there's a lot of really talented people in really making great work in powerful positions in this industry because they started this little production company in Bellingham that was just making cool stuff. And so much talent. I'm pretty proud to be a part of it, and feel incredibly lucky to be back at the company, kind of carrying forward the brand.
Dude. That's great. Thank you so much. I'm blushing. That's why I don't show any video on these things. But yeah, man, thanks a lot. And let's get you and Micah both back on here and talk some more. And let's do that deal making podcast. I think that would be a really fun one where we just break down the deal. We could do some role playing. We could do some, because I think deal making is really stressful for people. And I know it has been for me over the years. I was always happy to turn it over to somebody else. And I think that we could all use a primer in it. And it sounds like you guys are really on a good track with it, and making it your bitch and making the deal come, work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, Micah has his own experience growing up in agencies and stuff, but I learned a lot from you guys too. You and Donaldson, being in the room with you guys and watching you work, there is a lot to learn. So, and I think that's the case for everyone that's been at Handcrank. We learned from some really great teachers, and it's the hardest part about is getting the work and getting the money you think you need for the project, and it takes some experience to get there.
When you're emotional about your own work, it's like, you're putting numbers on it, and you're putting that's weird, right?
That's why Mike and I make a great team. Is he's not emotional like I am, so I can be emotional, like I'm the emo kid, and he's just like the business guy. And so the two of us play really well together. I think it's a great thing about having good partnerships too. Is you can you can kind of play off each other and like even rib each other in the room. Like we got one really big client, and it was like, it was fun to kind of play this, be in this room and like have Micah jabbing me about being too emotional. And then me talking about him, like he's a business guy, all he cares about is money kind of thing. And, there's this personality that comes out when the two of us are in a room together that is fun. And then we talk about real stuff and we're honest. And then you find out what the number is and you go to work. And that's what it's about, getting to the work.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, man. Well, we will talk to you later. And thanks all you out there in podcast listening land for listening to Crossing the Axis. Thanks for giving Pipeline a try at videopipeline.io. And we will see all of you later. Thanks and good night, Caleb.
Hi, thanks.